Okay guys. So another accounting video again, another day. Another sakit ng ulo na naman po tayo today. So ngayon, trade and other receivables tayo under financial accounting and reporting. So ngayon dito, sa trade and other receivable, we'll talk about receivable first. So what is receivable? Sabi daw, okay dito tayo, receivable are assets. Okay, these are assets that represent contractual right to receive cash or other assets. So, anong ibig sabihin yan? Dito daw, meron daw matatanggap. Okay, meron daw matatanggap na pwedeng cash or pwedeng receivable or pwedeng any other asset that is a receivable. Okay, marireceive mo pa lang sa ibang tao. Ngayon, receivables, merong mga examples. Okay, meron tayong mga list of receivables. Meron tayo diyang accounts receivable, notes receivable, loans receivable, advances, accrued income, deposits, and claims receivable. Yung accounts receivable, medyo ito yung pinaka-common. Okay, simple kapag meron kang receivable, ilagay mo muna yan sa accounts receivable. Notes receivable, ano to? Receivables, meron kang receivable pero meron ng kontrata. Or meron ng notes, may promissory note na binigay sa'yo, yung magbabayad sa'yo. Notes ang tawag doon, may promissory note. It is evidence by promissory note. Loans receivable naman, receivable mo yan sa bangko. Umutang ka kay bangko, hindi mo pa nare-receive yung inutang mo kay bangko, may receivable ka kay bangko. Anong receivable yon? Loans naman tayo doon. Okay? Advances. Ano yung advances? Dito sa advances, meron binigay, okay, meron kang binigay sa ibang tao, nagbayad ka, for example, sa supplier, nagbayad ka sa supplier in advance. So, prepaid asset mo yon. Yung prepaid asset, meron ka ngayong marireceive na receivable doon sa binili mo o doon sa binayaran mo in advance. Hindi siya cash na marireceive mo, pero other asset, pwedeng inventory. That is an advances. Nag-advance payment ka sa ibang tao, ano ngayon nangyari? Meron ka ngayong matatanggap sa ibang tao. Ano yung binayaran mo doon? For example, goods. Okay, inventories. Accrued income. Ano naman yung accrued income? This is services, nag-perform ka ng service, nagbenta ka ng goods na hindi mo pa natatanggap yung cash o yung pambayad nila sa'yo. That is an accrued income. Yung accrued income, pwede mong sabihin na parehas lang yan doon sa accounts receivable natin. Deposits. Ano yung deposit? For example na lang dito, bumili ka ng Coca-Cola, bumili ka ng bote ng Coca-Cola dyan, or bumili ka ng soft drinks dyan, na yung bote pa lang mismo, yung glass, merong deposit yon. Yung sukli mo na 5 pesos, hindi ibinalik sa'yo, sabi daw ibabalik sa'yo yung 5 pesos kapag binalik mo sa kanila yung bote. Yung marireceive mo ngayon na 5 pesos sa kanila, that is considered as your deposit. Claims receivable. Yung claims receivable na yan, usually ginagamit yung claims receivable sa insurance. Okay, meron kang kotse, naka-insured yung kotse mo nasira, insured. So anong gagawin ng insurance company? Babayaran yung insured amount sa'yo. Yung insured amount, hindi mo pa nare-receive, anong tawag doon? Claims receivable. Okay, so those are the most common examples of receivables. Pero for this video discussion, we'll talk about trade. Okay, trade and other receivables. So ano ba sa trade receivables? Sabi daw, it is considered as trade receivable if yung receivable mo daw is manggagaling dahil nagbenta ka ng goods, nagbenta ka ng services, and yun yung ordinary course of business mo. So merong business dito. Yung business mo, nagbenta ka ng goods. Hindi mo pa nare-receive yung goods o yung bayad mo doon sa goods na binenta mo. Yung marireceive mo doon or yung receivable mo doon sa customer mo na yon is considered as trade receivable. Okay, trade ang tawag doon. So kapag yung receivable mo is nanggaling dahil yun yung main line of business mo, ordinary course of business mo, nagbenta ka, nagperform ka ng service, ang tawag sa receivable mo na yon is considered as trade receivables. Any other receivables na hindi nanggaling sa bentahan ng goods, bentahan ng service under ordinary course of business is considered as other receivables. Specifically, non-trade receivable, which is, sabi daw, it includes receivables that are not trade but is classified as current. Okay, si trade and other receivable kasi is a current asset. So, current asset yan na hindi trade receivable, then it is considered as other receivable. Or, pwede natin tawagin as non-trade receivables. Okay, non-trade receivables ang tawag dyan. Nakuha natin yon. Okay. O, sige. Ngayon, dito muna tayo sa arrow na to. Okay, first arrow tayo. General rule natin in accounting purposes. an asset can never have a debit balance or a credit balance. Okay, merong mga normal balances ang account natin. Meron tayong mga accounts, tama? Meron tayong asset, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. Kapag ganito, yung dalawa, A, that is considered as an that is, yung normal balance niyan is debit. Ito naman, normal balance nito is the credit. Okay? So yung asset natin, ang normal balance dapat niyan naka-debit lagi. Receivable is an asset. Dapat naka-debit ang balance niyan. Ngayon, merong instances na yung accounts receivable daw natin is nagkakaroon ng credit balance. O, for example, ito, meron tayong T account. Meron beginning balance yung accounts receivable mo of 100,000. Meron kang receivable sa customer mo, 100,000. Yung customer mo na yun, nagbayad. Ang binayad daw sa'yo, 300,000. Aba, sobra yung binayaran sa'yo. Anong naging entry mo daw doon? Ito daw, nag-debit ka daw ng cash, 300,000. Nag-credit ka daw ng accounts receivable of 300,000. Ngayon, magkano ending balance ng accounts receivable mo? 100 less 300,000, that is equal to 200,000. Pero nasa credit side. Dapat walang credit side ang asset Dapat nandito yan. So, anong gagawin daw natin dito sa 200,000? Magkakaroon ka daw ngayon ng correcting entries or ng adjusting entry. Kasi uulitin ko, as a rule, a balance or an asset account can never have an abnormal balance. Abnormal balance, yun yung negative balance or yung credit balance or tinatawag din yan as an adverse balance. Bawal po yan. So, dapat nandito lang daw lagi sa debit side since asset tayo dito. Same as well sa accounts payable. O for example, merong T account sa accounts payable. Meron kang utang sa ibang tao na 200,000. Yan, credit. Nagbayad ka doon ng 500,000. Anong entry mo doon sa pagbabayad mo ng 500,000? Nag-debit ka ng accounts payable of 500,000 and nag-credit ka ng cash of 500,000. Magkano ending balance ng accounts payable mo? 300,000. Pero nasa debit side, liability yan. Dapat nandito yan sa credit side. So para makorek yan, gagawa tayo ng adjusting entry which is to correct the negative balance in accounts receivable. You need to do this entry. Itong entry mo na debit accounts receivable of 200,000 and credit ka ng advances from customer of 200,000. Kapag ginawa mo tong entry na to, nag-additional accounts receivable ka, meron kang additional 200,000 dito. Magkano na ending balance ng accounts receivable mo? Nasa 0 na tayo dito. O wala nang negative balance. Wala na yung 200,000 dito. 0 na yan. O, diba? Nag-debit ka ng accounts receivable. So, ano yung credit natin? Yung credit mo daw is the account used is the advances from customer. Meron ka daw na-receive na advances na nanggaling daw kay customer. Which is yung advances from customer mo na yan is considered as a liability account. Which is part of current liability na ang tawag dyan is non-trade payable. Okay, so ibig sabihin lang pag may abnormal balance, hindi pala yung abnormal balance pala ng receivable ko, ay hindi pala yung dapat credit side. Dapat pala liability yun. Dapat pala ililipat ko siya from negative balance ng receivable to my liability side. Okay, utang pala yun. Kasi isipin na lang natin, isipin mo na lang, meron kang customer. Yung customer mo nagbayad sa'yo ng 200,000 na wala ka pang binibigay na services. Ano ngayong meron ka? Utang. Meron ka ngayong liability sa kanya na ibigay yung goods na binayaran niya in advance. Okay. Same as well sa accounts payable. Kailangan makorek natin ito. So para makorek yan, dapat meron kang additional credit dito na 300,000. So yung entry natin dyan, dito tayo. Yung entry mo dyan is debit ka daw ng accounts or ng credit ka daw ng accounts payable of 300,000. Ayan yan. Ano yung debit daw natin? Advances to supplier. Which is yung advances to supplier daw natin na yan is considered as an asset which is current asset and part daw yan ng non-trade receivable. So yung ending balance natin dito, 0 na. Wala na yung 300,000. Hindi mo na-breach yung number 1 rule natin sa accounting na dapat wala tayong adverse account. Or tinatawag din yan as adverse balance. Adverse balance, abnormal balance, negative balance, same lang yan. Okay, interchangeably ginagamit sila, pare-parehas. So, tandaan mo na lang yung correcting entries. So, yung gusto ko lang ituro dito sa advanced or sa abnormal balances natin is that yung credit balance ng accounts receivable mo is a liability account. Advances yun. Yung debit balance ng accounts payable mo, receivable pala yun. Advances to supplier yun. Tandaan mo na lang na yung advances na yan, hindi yan part ng trade receivables. Saan siya part? Non-trade receivables. So, nandito tayo sa other receivables. Okay tayo doon. So, that's for the abnormal balances. Okay na. Sige. So, dito muna tayo sa pangalawang araw natin. Okay? Measurement principles. Okay, measurement principles tayo. Receivable, sabi daw, receivable are, okay, ito yan, initially measured at, kapag trade receivable daw tayo at transaction price or present value if merong significant financing. O pagka significant financing, ibig sabihin lang yan, usually merong significant financing o trade present value tayo dito. Mag-a-amortize tayo. Kapag trade receivables naman daw dito, o kapag trade receivable, usually, yung transaction price lang. Ano ba yung transaction price? Yan daw yung amount na babayaran mo kapag ka nagbayad ka ng cash outright. Hindi mo siya inutang. Yun yung transaction price. Yung present value, discuss na lang natin ito in the next video discussion with regards to long-term receivables or sa notes receivables natin. Pero ito lang muna isipin mo. Pag trade receivable, usually transaction price. Pag non-trade receivable naman daw, fair value plus transaction cost. The same yan dun sa standard na ginagamit natin under PFRS 9 sa investment. Meron tayong separate video discussion dyan. Panoorin na lang natin yan. Okay tayo. So yun lang. Initial measurement. Trade receivable, transaction price, or the present value pag may significant financing. Initial measurement ng non-trade, fair value plus transaction cost, parang investment, PFRS 9. Punta ka sa investment na discussion natin. Subsequent measurement naman natin. Okay, subsequent measurement, same lang yan, trade or non-trade receivable. Ito daw tayo, the net realizable value. And ano yung net realizable value? Ito ngayon yan. Okay? Yung net realizable value daw natin is your accounts receivable less allowances. Ano yung mga allowances daw natin na ililess? Yung sales discount and yung mga doubtful allowances. Pag niless mo yung AR less sales discount allowance, less doubtful allowance, is this equal to the net realizable value of accounts receivable, and yan yung ending balance ng accounts receivable natin. I-discuss natin isa-isa yung sales discount and doubtful allowances na yan. Pero before that, dito muna tayo sa pangatlong araw. Okay, pangatlong araw, meron tayong tinatawag na trade and cash discounts. So how do we account trade and cash discounts? Differentiate muna natin. Ano daw ba ibig sabihin ng trade discounts? Dito tayo. Sabi daw, trade discounts are given for bulk purposes. O bulk purchases. Meron kang customer, bumili sa'yo ng goods. Anong binili sa'yo ng goods? Sobrang dami daw. O bulk daw yung binili sa'yo. Binigyan mo ng discount. Yung binigay mo na discount kasi marami siyang binili, ang tawag doon, trade discount. So tatandaan mo na lang, kapag trade discount tayo, we are not accounting that discount separately. Ibig sabihin yung trade discount lang na binigay mo sa kanila, hindi mo daw yan i-journalize. Wala kang journal entry na gagawin dyan. Ang gagawin mo na lang daw dyan, ibabawas mo daw yan doon sa list price or the invoice price. Ano ba yung list price? Yung list price, yun yung actual price ng goods mo. Kapag binili siya sa'yo ng normal lang. Okay? Ano daw yung lalagay sa invoice price? Yung list price less yung trade discount. So wala ka nang i-entryhan sa trade discount ha, ininet mo na agad yun. Okay, ininet mo na siya agad. Tandaan mo na lang it is not accounted for separately. Meron tayong meron naman tayo diyang illustration later on. Okay? So ano naman yung cash discount? Cash discount naman daw is binibigay yan for prompt payments. Okay? Sir, pwede ba nabigyan ako ng trade discount and cash discount kapag bumili ako sa isang supplier ko? Yes, pwede yan. Ang difference lang ulit, trade discount, yun na yung nakalagay sa resibo mo. Kaya hindi mo na gino-journalize yung discount nyo na yun. Kasi internal arrangement na yun between you and the supplier. Okay? Pero kapag cash discount, ito, hindi pa naman binigay sa iyo yung discount talaga. Ang mangyari dyan, i-claim mo pa lang yung discount kapag nagbayad ka daw ng mas maaga pag hindi ka daw na-delay sa pagbabayad mo. So ngayon dito sa cash discount, meron kang journal entry. Okay? Kailangan mong entryhan yung cash discount natin na yan. Ngayon, yung method natin for cash discount is dalawa. It can either be those that are in accordance with PFRS 15 or the revenue recognition natin or dun sa traditional GAAP natin, yung nakasanayan natin. Sa PFRS 15, dalawa yung method mo dyan. Okay, actually, isa lang yung method mo dyan, pero magkaiba lang ng entry kasi yung isang entry daw natin, ginagamitan daw natin ng sales discount account. Yung pangalawang entry natin, ginagamitan daw natin na, or wala daw tayong ginagamit na sales discount account. Okay, tayo doon. Sige, hindi mo naintindihan. Sige, entryhan natin yan. Subukan nating entryhan yan. Okay, ganito. Ganyan kita ng illustration. For example, mayroong bumili sa yung customer. Okay, mayroong sa'yo bumiling customer. Yung list price ng product mo is 100,000. Binigyan mo daw ng trade discount. Ang sinabi mo daw, bigyan mo ka daw siya ng trade discount na 90%, 80%, and 70%. Ganyan usually lumalabas sa problem. And kapag nagbayad daw siya, for a period of 10 days, bibigyan mo daw siya ng 10% discount kapag nagbayad daw siya within 10 days. Okay? 10% within 10 days. Ganyan yan. So ngayon, may customer. So entry natin dyan, bumili sa'yo. Ang entry mo dyan, debit ka ng accounts receivable, credit ka ng sales. PFRS 15 muna tayo. PFRS 15. Under PFRS 15 natin, ang entry natin dyan, magkano ba yung discount mo? Okay, magkano ba yung discount? Trade discount natin muna. 100,000 times 90%, or sorry, 10%, 20%, and 30% na lang. Yan daw yung discount mo, 10%, 20%, and 30%. So, ibig sabihin, yung babayaran mo lang is 100,000, 90%, kasi 100 less 10%. Multiply mo na din directly, 80%, 100 less 20%, tapos 30%, 70%, 100 less 30%. So, yung total daw na babayaran mo na lang is 100,000 times 90%, times 80%, times 70%, that is equal to 50,400. Yan na lang daw yung nasa invoice price. Okay na yung nasa resibo. Hindi mo na i-entryhan yung discount na binigay sa'yo dito. No entry na tayo dyan. So, okay. Ngayon dito sa cash discount natin, 10% daw. Magkano ba 10% ng 50,400? 50,400 less 10%, that is equal to 5,040. So, ano daw ang entry natin under PFRS 15? Ito muna, kapag without sales discount. Kasi dalawang method mo dyan, with and without. Without muna. Without sales discount account. Kapag without sales discount account tayo, ang entry mo daw dyan is debit accounts receivable of 50,400. Less ko yung 50,400. Magkano ba net? Net na daw kasi dapat yan. 5,400 less 50,040. That is equal to 45,360. Debit daw ako ng AR of 45,360. And credit daw ako ng sale of 45,360. Ganyan na daw for PFRS 15 without sales discount. Kapag naman daw with sales discount, pag with sales discount daw tayo, ang entry mo daw dyan is simply, parehas lang din, debit ka din daw ng AR, credit ka daw ng sales. Pero yung i-recognize ko daw dito sa AR and sale is ito, yung gross amount, which is nasa 50,400. So, debit ako ng AR, credit ako ng sale of 50,400. So, ano gagawin ko dun sa discount? Ina-assume na yan. Okay, estimate na kasi yan na marireceive mo daw yan. So, ang entry mo lang dyan is debit daw ng sales, discount, credit tayo ng allowance for sales, discount, which is nasa 5,040. Okay, o ganyan lang. Parehas lang yan ng balance. Magkano ang total net sales mo? Dito, net sales mo sa without sales account, 45,360. Sa with sales or with sales discount account, magkano net sales mo? Ito, 50,400. Ito, tatandaan mo ito. Itong sales discount natin na to, this is a contra revenue account. Ibig sabihin, deduction yan sa sales natin, which is nasa 5,400. So, nasa 45,360 pa rin. Okay, magkaiba lang ng account na ginamit, magkaiba lang ng entry na ginawa, pero same pa rin ng sales, same pa rin yan ng accounts receivable. So, hindi, magkaiba ng accounts receivable. Dito, 45,360. Dito, 50,400. Ito namang allowance for sales discount, this is a contra receivable account. Contra receivable account? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Tama, dito naalala mo, subsequent measurement, net realizable value, magle-less ka ng allowance, yung isang allowance, sales discount. Ito ngayon yun. Ayan ngayon yun. Okay, that is for the PFRS 15. Okay, yung pangalawang method natin, meron tayong tinatawag na traditional GAAP. Dito ngayon sa traditional GAAP, dalawa daw yan. Pwede daw gross method and net method. Anong difference? Sir, ito pala sir. Itong discount ko dito, hindi ko na ba talaga in-entryhan yan? Kasi hindi ko na in-account to. Yes, hindi mo na talaga i-entryhan yan. Okay? Ignore lang sa atin yan. Okay, ngayon. Kapag gross method and net method, ganito lang yan. Entry lang natin dito eh. Kapag gross method, for example, ito na yon 50,400. So, ang entry mo lang dyan, debit ka lang ng accounts receivable, credit tayo ng sales dito na 50,400. Okay, this is for gross method. Kapag naman daw net method, ang entry mo sa net method, same lang din yan dito. Okay, naka-net naman yan. Net method natin, debit tayo ng accounts receivable, credit tayo ng sales, yung naka-net na, ito na, 45,360. Okay tayo. Sir, wala ka na ba munang i-entryhan na sales discount? Yes, wala muna. Yun yung difference ng traditional GAAP. Dito sa traditional GAAP, kapag hindi pa certain na i-claim yung discount, hindi mo muna yan i-take into account. Unlike sa PFRS 15, nagne-net na tayo agad dito. Okay tayo. Ngayon dito, for example, dito sa gross method muna. Sa gross method, assuming, okay, let's assume na kolekta yung amount within the discount period. So, ibig sabihin, na-avail yung discount period. Nung na-avail yung discount period, anong entry mo dyan? Debit siya ng cash. Nakakolekta siya ng cash. Magkano yung cash na makokolekta niya kung in-avail niya yung discount? Ito, 45,360. Tama. Kasi in-avail yung discount eh. So, debit tayo ng 45,360. Magkano i-credit mo? Accounts receivable. 50,400. Kasi yun yung ni-recognize mo na accounts receivable. O sir, kulang ako ng debit. Kulang ako ng debit na 5,040. Yes, kulang ka ng debit na 5,040. Ang tawag dyan is yung debit sales discount. Uy, same lang dito? Yes, same lang dyan. Magkaiba lang ng form. Okay, pero parehas na parehas lang din yan. Okay. O sir, paano kapag ka nakolekta ko siya? Nakolekta. Okay. Beyond naman. Beyond discount period. So, ibig sabihin, hindi nila in-avail yung discount. O anong entry mo lang dyan? Debit, cash, credit accounts receivable. Magkano makokolekta mo? Itong lahat. 50,400. O, diba? O kapag net method naman, sir, o kapag ka net method, nakolekta daw siya within discount period, o kapag within discount period ang entry mo dyan, debit ka lang ng cash, credit ka lang ng AR. Magkano? 45,360. Bakit, sir? Wala na akong i-recognize na sales discount? Wala na. Naka-net na kasi tayo dito eh. Okay? Eh, sir, paano? Kapag ito naman, nakolekta beyond discount period. O ang entry mo lang dyan, debit, cash. Magkano nakolekta mo na cash? 50,400 kasi hindi nakolekta yung hindi in-avail yung discount eh. Magkano i-credit mo na accounts receivable? Yung ni-recognize mo lang, 45,360. O sir, kulang naman ako ng credit side. Ang credit side ko dyan, nasa 5,040. Anong account gagamitin ko dyan? Sales discount ba? Naku sir, hindi pwedeng sales discount kasi yung sales discount ko na yan, contra revenue account yan. Yung total revenue ko dapat naka-credit, yung contra revenue dapat naka-debit. Kapag ka nag-credit ako dito, abay, mag-abnormal balance. Bawal yun. Yes, kasi yung account na ginagamit dito, hindi sales discount. But rather, tinatawag siya as the sales discount forfeited. Okay, sales discount forfeited. Yang sales discount forfeited na yan, this is considered naman as adjunct account. Okay, adjunct account naman yan sa revenue. Additional revenue ngayon yan. Okay tayo. So, yan yung difference ha. Medyo nakakalito. Yes, medyo nakakalito. Pero, ang concept lang dito, pare-parehas lang yan. Okay, debit AR, credit sales, pero dito naka-net pag PFRS 15 kapag hindi ginamitan ng sales discount. Kapag may ginamitan ng sales discount, yung sales ko naman parehas lang eh. Nagkaroon lang ako ng additional entry na debit sales discount and allowance for sales discount. Okay? Kapag ka naman daw traditional GAAP, meron tayong gross and meron tayong net method. Pero pare-parehas lang din yan, no? Yung total AR ko, pare-parehas lang din yan. Okay? So, yan for the accounting of cash and trade discount. Ulitin lang natin, trade discounts are not accounted for separately. Binabawas na yan automatically doon sa invoice price or doon sa amount na marireceive natin. Okay tayo. O yun o, yun na yung isang portion dito, yung sales discount. Nandito na yun na part. Okay? O next. Next, dito tayo sa pangatlong arrow. Okay? I-discuss naman natin ano ba itong allowance for doubtful accounts na yan. So ano ba yung allowance for doubtful accounts na yan? Dito tayo ngayon. The accounting for doubtful accounts. So ano ba si doubtful accounts? Sabi dyan, doubtful accounts is an estimation of accounts receivable portion that are deemed uncollectible. Ayun. So meron kang receivable sa customer mo. Ina-estimate daw tayo. Estimate lang po ito estimate. Nag-estimate tayo kung magkano doon sa portion na yun yung hindi mo na makokolekta. Yung portion na hindi mo na makokolekta, ang tawag doon doubtful account. Yung doubtful account na yan, pwede mo din yan tawagin as bad debt account. Okay, marami yung pwede tawag dyan. Bad debt account, doubtful account. Ngayon dito, sa accounting for doubtful accounts, meron tayong mga methods. Meron daw tayong direct write-off method and the allowance method. Pero yung direct write-off method natin, this is not allowed. Okay, this is not in accordance with PFRS or the accounting standards natin. So, hindi yan allowed. Pero discuss lang din natin kung ano yung difference. Meron naman tayong tinatawag na allowance method. Ito yung allowed. Okay, ito lang dapat gamitin natin. Okay, ano bang difference? Pag direct write-off method daw, we recognize bad debt if receivable are worthless. So dito, hindi ka na mag-e-estimate. Hindi ka nag-e-estimate sa direct write-off. Aalisin mo daw yung receivable kapag 100% sure ka na hindi mo na siya makokolekta. Unlike dito sa allowance method, kaya nga sinabi allowance lang yan. This is in connection with accrual basis and it requires estimation. Estimate lang kasi yan, kaya allowance lang yan. Okay, anong difference ng direct write-off method and ng allowance method? O, dito tayo. Dito tayo sa direct write-off, dito tayo sa allowance method. Entryhan natin. For example, meron kang accounts receivable sa isang customer and credit tayo ng sales. Parehas lang yan. Meron tayong debit accounts receivable and credit sales. For example, nasa 100,000 pesos. Okay? Now, let's assume during this period, December 31, nag-estimate ka. Sabi mo, 80% or sabi na lang natin 50,000 is uncollectible. 50,000 is uncollectible. This is only estimate. Okay, estimated lang yan. Anong entry mo daw dito sa allowance for doubtful accounts? Meron ka na daw entry dyan which is debit ka daw ng debit bad debts expense. And credit daw tayo ng allowance for bad debts account. Okay? The amount of 50,000 pesos. Yung bad debts account, pwede mong tawagin dyan, doubtful accounts yan. Same lang din yan. Doubtful accounts. Pwede ka mag-debit ng debit doubtful expense, credit allowance for doubtful accounts. Parehas lang po yun. Pero dito sa direct write-off method natin, dito, no entry tayo dito. Bakit? Kasi hindi pa worthless yung accounts receivable Estimate pa lang yan. Allowance pa lang yan sa allowance method. Walang entry sa direct write-off method. Familiar sa iyo tong allowance for bad debts? Yes, ito na yun Ito yung sinasabi ko dito sa pangatlo or pangalawang allowance natin na doubtful accounts. Okay. Ngayon, dito, sa accounts receivables, meron tayong event na tinatawag na write-off. Ano yung write-off? Yung write-off na yan yung aalisin mo na yung receivable. Bakit daw aalisin mo na yung receivable? Kasi sinasabi daw na uncollectible raw talaga. 100% uncollectible. Sabi daw dyan, 20,000 of that receivable is 100% uncollectible. 20,000 yon. Sa direct write-off method natin ng entry mo dyan, tsaka ka lang daw magre-recognize ng debit bad debts expense. Debit daw tayo ng bad debts expense and credit tayo ng accounts receivable. Kasi 100% di ka na makokolekta. Alisin mo na yan dito sa accounts receivable. 20,000 pesos. Pero sa allowance method natin, ang entry daw natin dyan, magde-debit daw tayo ng allowance for bad debts account. Debit daw tayo ng allowance for bad debts account. And credit daw tayo ng accounts receivable. Magkano? Nasa 20,000 pesos. Bakit sir? Bakit ganun? Alisin mo yan sa accounts receivable kasi nga 100% uncollectible na yan. Alisin mo yan dito. Bakit ako nag-debit ng allowance for doubtful accounts, sir? Kasi tama, dati nag-estimate ka, December 31, nag-estimate ka na 50,000 uncollectible. Ito yun, di ba? Yung 20,000, hindi na estimate. 100% sure na. O alisin mo yan sa estimate mo. Kaya nag-debit ka ng allowance for bad debts account. O, tama. O, meron tayong tinatawag ngayon dito, last event, meron tayong tinatawag ngayon dito na recovery din. Ano yung recovery? Yung recovery natin, na-collecta mo daw yung write-off, yung ni-write-off mo last time. Nag-write-off ka ng 20,000. Sabihin daw natin, na-collecta mo daw yung 10,000 yan. Yung akala mo hindi mo na makokolekta, ay nakolekta ko pala biglang nagkapera, biglang nagbayad yung customer ko. Anong entry natin dyan? O, debit lang tayo ng cash. Nakakolekta ka ng cash eh. Okay? And credit lang tayo ng accounts receivable. Or debit lang tayo ng cash dito sa direct write-off na method. Debit ka lang ng cash and credit lang tayo ng gain. Okay? Of 10,000 pesos. Pero dito sa allowance for doubtful accounts natin, debit ka ng i-reverse mo daw muna ito. Kasi hindi naman talaga dapat ni write-off yan eh. So, i-reverse mo daw muna yan. So, ang entry mo daw dyan, debit ka daw ng AR, credit ka daw ng allowance for doubtful accounts. Add na lang po Ash para shortcut. That is equal to 10,000 pesos. Yan kapag recovery. Pag recovery, nakolekta mo ulit, tama. O alisin mo din yung accounts receivable. Debit ka ng cash, credit ka ng accounts receivable of 10,000 pesos. Okay, gets yun? Okay sana malinaw Ngayon, from these journal entries, dito tayo mag-focus sa allowance method. From these journal entries sa allowance method, pwede kang gumawa ngayon ng T-account. Gawa natin ng T-account This will be your number one guide pag-usapang trade and accounts receivable. Gagawa ka ng T-account. T-account sa accounts receivables and T-account sa allowance for doubtful accounts. Yung T-account mo sa accounts receivable, merong beginning balance yan dito sa debit. Sa allowance for doubtful accounts, may beginning balance yan sa credit. Nagkaroon ka ng credit sale. Dito yan, debit ka ng credit sale, additional accounts receivable yon. Nagkaroon ka ng collection o credit ka ng collection dito. O nag-write-off ka. Ano bang ginagawa mo sa write-off? Ito guide natin always yung entries. Pag write-off, anong ginagawa mo? Nag-credit ka ng accounts receivable. So mag-credit ka dito ng accounts receivable. Nagde-debit na ako ng allowance for doubtful accounts. O mag-debit ka din dito ng allowance for doubtful accounts. Write-off. Diba? O, recovery, another event. Recovery, sir. Kapag nagre-recover ako, nag-debit ako ng accounts receivable. O, debit ka ng accounts receivable. Recovery. Credit ka ng allowance for doubtful accounts. Recovery. Debit ka ng cash. Credit ka ng AR. Credit ka lang ulit dito ng AR. Recovery. Or, simply, pwedeng ignore na lang natin yung recovery sa usapang accounts receivable. Pero kailangan mong mag-credit ng accounts receivable or ng allowance for doubtful accounts with regards to recovery. In addition of that, meron ka dito tinatawag na bad debts account. Okay, bad debt. Ito, kapag ka doubtful tayo dyan. Kasi nagki-credit ka ng allowance for bad debt accounts credit. Tapos meron tayong ending balance. Dito ang ending balance natin dapat nasa credit. Dito yung ending balance natin dapat nasa debit. So yan yung magiging guide mo always Yan, itong T-account natin na to. Beginning balance plus credit sale plus recovery kung may recovery. Credit collection, credit write-off, less recovery. Kasi yung recovery, makokolekta mo nga lang din ulit yon. Sa ADA, beginning balance plus bad debts expense. Yung doubtful accounts na ni-recognize mo, yung estimate. Less write-off pag nag-write-off kasi nagde-debit ka dyan ng ADA account. Credit ka ng recovery kasi pag nag-credit ka ng recovery, nagkakaroon ka ng additional ADA that is equal to your ending balance. Okay? So, yan for the accounting for doubtful accounts. So, ngayon, dito, sa allowance method down natin, we have 3 methods of estimating the allowance for doubtful accounts. Tatlo daw method natin. Meron daw tayong percentage of net credit sale, percentage of receivable, and the aging of receivables. Okay, parehas naman yan. Pwedeng gamitin in accounting standards. Ang different lang, yung number 1, ang difference lang, yung number 1, yung basis daw ng bad debts expense mo is your net credit sale. Pag pangalawa naman, ang basis naman daw is your receivable. And pag pangatlo daw, yung dates daw. Nag-age ka daw ng receivable. Tandaan mo na lang dito. Dito tayo sa allowance for doubtful accounts. Kapag ginamit mo is yung percentage of net credit sale, for example, yung net credit sale mo dito, ito daw. Yung net credit sale mo daw during the year is nasa 100,000. Ang estimate mo daw, 2% daw is doubtful dyan. So that is equal to 2,000 pesos. Yung 2,000 pesos na to, ito yan. Yan yung bad debts expense natin. Yan yung makocompute mo under percentage of credit sales. Percentage of credit sale. Ano yung percentage of receivable? Percentage of receivable, ito ngayon yun. Ito yung relevant sa'yo, yung ending balance. Percentage of receivable. Sa percentage of receivable, let's say for example, yung ending balance ng accounts receivable mo is nasa 1 million pesos. Sabihin na natin 5% daw ang estimate mo na uncollectible dyan. So that is equal to 1 million pesos times 0.5%. That is equal to, or 0.5%, that is equal to 50,000. Yung 50,000 na makocompute mo, ito daw yan. Yung ending balance na raw. Okay, so tandaan mo na lang yan ha. Tandaan mo na lang yan. Credit sale, ang ending, yung nakocompute mo, pag minultiply mo yung percentage, yung bad debts expense. Accounts receivable, percentage of receivable, pag minultiply mo yung percentage, ang makocompute mo, yung ending balance ng allowance for doubtful accounts. So, tatlo yung method. Yung aging of receivable, ang itsura lang ng aging of receivable, meron tayong 0 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, tapos 100,000 ito, 200,000 ito, 6% daw uncollectible dito, 5% daw uncollectible dito, magkano ito? Nasa 6,000, magkano to? Nasa 10,000, yung total daw na uncollectible accounts natin is nasa 16,000. Yung makocompute mo na 16,000, ito din yun, ending balance. Ito ngayon yung aging of receivable. Okay? Meron tayong illustration dyan. So, kalmahan mo lang. Okay? Kasagutan din natin yan later on. Okay, so, last concept natin. Okay? Last concept natin for trading accounts receivable bago tayo mag-solve ng mga problems. Meron tayong accounting, tinatawag na accounting for freight charges. Okay? Ano ba yung freight charges na yan? Okay? Yung freight charges daw na yan, shipping fee na lang. In short. Okay, paano mo daw i-account yung shipping fee? Ito daw muna tayo. Meron daw tayong tinatawag na terms of contract. Sa kontrata, nagkaroon ng bentahan, nagkaroon ng bilihan, nung may bumili sa yung customer, nagbigay ng kontrata. Kapag daw yung kontrata na pinirmahan or yung arrangement na ginawa ninyo, hindi naman kailangan may pinirmahang kontrata, basta may arrangement. Kapag daw yung arrangement na pinag-usapan ninyo is FOB shipping point. FOB stands for free on board. Okay, free on board. Sulat ko. Free on board. Pag free on board shipping point daw, this is the rule. Yung goods daw or yung ownership daw is magta-transfer upon shipment. Kapag na-ship na ni supplier or na-ship na ni seller yung goods, yung shipping goods or yung goods daw natin is considered as owned na ni buyer. Pag FOB shipping point. Pag FOB destination naman daw, ownership is to be transferred upon receipt of goods. Kapag daw na-receive na ni buyer yung goods, tsaka lang daw magta-transfer yung ownership sa kanya. Okay, so yan lang, FOB shipping point and FOB destination. Sige, lagyan natin ng illustration. Okay, let's say for example, A and B. A is the seller, B is the buyer. Ganyan. So, nagkaroon ng kontrata, nag-pay, nag-deliver. Okay? Nag-deliver. Let's say for example, A ships the good by January 5, 2026. B receives the good by January 31, 2026. Question. By January 5, 2026, who owns the good? Depende. FOB shipping point or FOB destination. Kapag FOB shipping point o kapag shipping point, at the date of shipment, January 5, 2026, buyer owns the goods. Kay goods na yan. Kapag naman daw FOB destination, by January 31, buyer owns the goods. Pero by January 5, 2026, dito, seller still owns the goods. Sir, bakit importante na malaman natin kung sino ba may-ari ng goods or kung sino ba yung may-ari, kung sino yung may ownership sa goods? Importante yan kasi dito, for example, FOB shipping point. Ang may-ari ng goods si buyer. Yung goods natin in transit pa. Papunta pa lang. Na kay courier pa lang. Na kay Lazada, na kay JNT pa lang. Na kay LBC pa lang. Bigla nawala yung goods. Hindi inaasahan na robbery. Okay? Or for example na lang, na aksidente, nasira yung goods. Sino magsushoulder ng loss doon sa goods? Si buyer. Bakit? Kasi siya yung may-ari ng goods. Whoever owns the goods takes the risk whenever something unnecessary happens. Okay? So, sino may-ari ng goods, siya ang magte-take ng risk. Siya yung merong burden doon sa mga risk. O paano sir, pag FOB destination, sino ba may-ari? Si seller. Nawala yung goods sir, anong gagawin? Wala. Loss ni seller yun. Ang gagawin ni seller, kailangan niyang ibigay or balik kay buyer yung kailangan niyang ibigay. Okay, kasi hindi dumating kay buyer. Okay, pero sir, paano kapag kayong kay buyer nawala? Siya FOB shipping point, siya na may-ari, si buyer na, nawala yung product. Si A po ba, obligated pa rin na i-provide kay B yung binigay niya na goods? Hindi na, kasi kay buyer na yun. Paano yun sir? Lugi naman si buyer. O si buyer ngayon, meron ngayon siyang right to get a reimbursement from the courier. Kasi kasalanan ng courier. Okay? Ganun yan ha. FOB shipping point or FOB destination. Meron kang makikita minsan sa problem na ang tawag FOB seller. Pag FOB seller tayo, it is considered as FOB shipping point. Meron naman tayong tinatawag na FOB buyer. Kapag FOB buyer naman tayo, it is considered as destination. Ito na lang yung magiging clue mo. S is for an S. Ibig sabihin dito ulit, pag free on board desk shipping point or FOB seller, who owns the goods must shoulder the goods. Okay? O ibig sabihin lang nun, at the date of shipment, buyer already owns the goods. Meron ng transfer of property. So kung i-entryhan natin yan, ito yung nakakalito dyan. FOB shipping point tayo. In-entryhan mo. Debit ka ng AR. Credit ka ng sales. Kailan mo dapat entryhan yan? Kailan ka magkakaroon ng sale? Kapag January 5. Bakit? Kasi na-transfer mo na yung goods kay buyer. So, ibig sabihin, nagkaroon na ng bentahan. Ito, i-entryhan mo yan by January 5. Paano sir pag FOB destination? Kailan ako mag-e-entry ng debit AR and credit sales? Kailan? Yes, tama ka. By January 31. Kasi dyan pa lang nagkaroon ng sale. Nung January 31. Dyan pa lang napunta kay buyer yung goods. So, January 31 ka lang mag-recognize ng sale. Ibig sabihin, sir, dun sa FOB shipping point ko, hindi pa ako mag-recognize ng sale sa January 5, 2026. Ibig sabihin, sir, ulitin ko. I-rephrase ko. Ibig sabihin, sir, pag FOB destination, January 5, 2026, hindi pa ako mag-e-entry kapag FOB destination? Yes, hindi pa. Mag-e-entry ka lang debit AR and credit sale by January 31, 2026. Okay tayo doon. Okay, o last concept, meron tayong tinatawag ng mga freight prepaid. O, yung freight prepaid na yan yung shipping cost. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na freight prepaid and meron tayong tinatawag na freight collect. Okay? Etong freight prepaid, shipping fee. Okay? Shipping fee are paid by the seller. Yung freight collect, shipping fee is collected to the buyer. Okay? So, kasi courier yan. Okay, si LBC, kapag freight prepaid, binayaran na in advance ni seller yung shipping fee. Pag freight collect, kinokolekta ni LBC yung shipping fee kay buyer. Okay, relate mo na lang yan sa Shopee at sa Lazada na in-order mo araw-araw. Okay, meron tayong freight prepaid and freight collect. So, bakit importante yung freight prepaid and freight collect? Ito yung general rule natin. Who owns the goods must shoulder the shipping fee. Tama. Kung sino may-ari ng goods, dapat siya ang mag-shoulder ng shipping fee. So kapag FOB shipping point, shinip mo yung goods January 5, 2026. Sino may-ari ng goods? Si buyer. Sino dapat magbabayad ng goods? Sino dapat magbabayad ng shipping fee? Si buyer. O FOB destination, sino may-ari ng goods at the point of shipment? Si seller pa. 'Di ba? Sino dapat magbabayad ng shipping fee? Dapat si seller. Okay? And yung freight prepaid and freight expense na yan, meron tayong tinatawag na freight out. Okay? Freight out is an expense account. Ibig sabihin, kapag FOB shipping point, si buyer dapat ang mag-recognize ng goods, yung kapag si seller ang nagbayad ng expenses or nung shipping fee, dapat si seller hindi mag-recognize ng freight out. Kasi wala siyang expense. Kasi dapat yung expense ang magkokolekta si buyer. Ang magbabayad, si buyer. Okay, medyo magulo. Sige, i-apply na lang natin yan sa illustration. Mahirap talaga siyang explain. Actually, sige, mas maganda kung gawa natin siya ng journal entries na lang. Sige. Entries tayo. Possible na meron tayong FOB. FOB, shortcutin ko na lang shipping point, tapos FOB shipping point. Etong FOB shipping point, possible na maging freight prepaid and pwedeng maging freight collect. Okay, FOB shipping point yan. Okay, entryhan natin Entryhan natin. Let's say for example, FOB shipping point. Okay, ito date of shipment. Date of shipment natin kanina, January 5. Tapos by December 31 or January 31. Okay. FOB shipping point. Who owns the goods? FOB shipping point. Who owns the good? The buyer. So by January 5, 2026, dapat meron na tayong entry dito na debit AR, credit sales. For example, 100 pesos. Okay tayo. O freight prepaid. Ibig sabihin ng freight prepaid, ang nagbayad, si seller. O nung nagbayad si seller, sino ba dapat ang may-ari ng goods? O sino ba may-ari ng goods? Si buyer. Bakit si seller ang nagbayad? Dapat ba mag-recognize ng expense si seller? No. Pero nagbayad siya. O anong credit niya? Magka-credit siya ng cash, 10 pesos. Kasi binayaran niya yung shipping fee. For example, 10 pesos yung shipping fee. Ano mangyayari ngayon? Meron lang siyang additional receivable. Okay, meron lang siyang additional receivable for freight of 10 pesos. Receivable niya yan kay buyer. Kasi marireimburse yan dapat ni buyer sa kanya. Tama, kasi ang dapat na magbabayad ng shipping fee, si buyer. Kasi ang may-ari ng goods, si buyer. Ang magbabayad dapat, si buyer. Pero sino nagbayad? Si seller. Bakit si seller ang nagbayad? Kasi freight prepaid. So anong gagawin ni seller? May makukolekta siyang additional receivable kay buyer. At January 31, receipt of goods. Ano nangyari? Nagkaroon na ng bayaran. So si customer tayo or si seller tayo. So si seller, mag-debit na siya ng cash, may nakolekta siya na cash. Magkano yung amount na makokolekta niya? 110 pesos. 110 pesos. Credit tayo ng accounts receivable. Magkano yung accounts receivable na i-recognize mo? Ito, 110 pesos. 110 pesos. Okay tayo doon. Kapag FOB shipping point, freight collect naman. FOB shipping point, same lang yan. Meron ka dapat entry na debit AR, credit sale, amounting to 100 pesos. Pero freight collect, pag freight collect, sinong nagbayad ng shipping fee? Si buyer. So wala tayong entry dito. January 31, magkano ngayon yung babayaran ni buyer kay customer? 100 pesos lang. Wala naman siyang kailangang i-reimburse. So debit cash, credit AR of 100 pesos. 'Di ba? Ganyan lang 'yan. Next. Paano naman daw kapag FOB destination, which is freight prepaid, and FOB destination, which is freight collect? Okay? FOB destination, wala kang entry dito. Magre-recognize ka lang ng debit AR, credit sales dito, which is debit cash, credit sales, magkano yung marireceive mo? 100 pesos. Freight prepaid, ang nagbayad pag freight prepaid. Sino? Si seller. Sino ba dapat ang nagbabayad ng expense na yan? Si seller talaga. So anong entry natin dyan? Debit siya ng freight out, which is an expense account. And credit tayo ng cash, sabihin na natin, 10 pesos. Okay, sir, ulitin mo nga. Sino dapat nagbayad ng freight prepaid? Sino dapat magbabayad ng goods? Sino ang nagbayad pag freight prepaid ng shipping fee? Si seller. Sino ba dapat ang magbabayad ng seller? Who owns the good? Who owns the good ba kapag FOB destination? Si seller. So, si seller dapat ang magbabayad, si seller ang nagbayad, so wala siyang makokolekta kay buyer. So, yung makokolekta lang niya kay buyer is simply yung sales niya. O, pag freight destination, or FOB destination and freight collect, o anong enter natin dyan? FOB destination, magre-recognize ka lang ng debit, cash, and credit sales upon receipt ng customer nung 100 pesos natin. Freight collect, sino nagbayad? Okay, sino nagbayad nung shipping fee? Si buyer. So, ang nangyari, ang ginawa ngayon, nagbayad ng cash na 10 pesos si buyer. So, ibig sabihin, ikaw ngayon na si seller, ang makokolekta mo na lang kapag freight collect tayo dito and FOB destination would be total na makokolekta mo na lang kapag FOB destination freight collect. Freight collect, sino nagbayad daw? Si buyer. Sino ba dapat ang magbayad? Si seller. Kasi FOB destination, he owns the good. So dapat yung debit natin na cash dito, ang marireceive mo na lang talaga na cash is 90 pesos. Ang ibibigay na lang sa'yo na cash ni buyer is 90 pesos na lang. Kulang tayo ng credit, sir. Anong kulang mo ng credit dito? Yung debit tayo ng freight out. May expense ka dapat ng freight out of 10 pesos. Kasi ikaw dapat ang mag-recognize ng expense natin na yan. Okay, so be familiarized with the entries na lang. Be familiarized with the entries kasi yan yung magiging foundation natin with regards to this trade and accounts receivables. So yun lang muna. God bless, good luck, and ciao!